All right, welcome back to another exciting adventure right here on Radio Wasteland, the best in paranormal talk radio. I'm your host, Chauncey Hallworth. This is my co-host, Kara Kittrick.
Hello.
That's your cue. Kara, do you have any news for us today?
Yes, I do. So, first, I think we all heard the story from a little over a week ago about the Chinese rocket that was slated to drop space junk somewhere in a pretty shockingly large band of the Earth. The junk fell without incident into the ocean. But it's maybe time to answer some questions about this stuff. First, if space junk falls on your house, what happens? Well, according to space law, if Chinese debris lands on your house, then it's the responsibility of the Chinese government to pay for it, even if the debris actually belonged to a private company based in China. Same if, like, it's SpaceX debris, it would be the responsibility of the US to pay for it. So if Chinese debris falls in your house, the US would theoretically get compensation through diplomatic channels. Second, has this ever happened? No, the Earth is large and most of it is covered in water, but in 1978, a Soviet satellite did crash in the wilds of Canada, spreading radioactive debris from its reactor. The bigger problem, according to experts, is the increasing amount of space debris in orbit around the planet, which could make launching craft much more difficult in the future and cause problems for existing satellites. And also, some regulators want to crack down on cryptocurrencies after a massive increase in trading over the last year, leading to wildly volatile prices. Some financial experts argue that investments like Dogecoin, a joke currency named after a meme that saw its value increase massively over the last year, creating Dogecoin millionaires, are similar to playing the lottery, and that irresponsible trading could cause a lot of ordinary people to go bankrupt. They also worry about the potential for fraud and manipulation and have raised concerns about how unregulated cryptocurrency have increasingly become a normal part of mainstream financial life, with JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs planning to offer crypto-based options to their investors. However, cryptocurrency and blockchain are inherently technologies built around anonymity, so it's not clear if they can be meaningfully regulated, nor do their users want them to be. A final issue is the immense environmental cost of using cryptocurrency. Bitcoin alone produces more carbon emissions than New Zealand, and the cost is exponentially increasing. In 30 years, it's estimated that Bitcoin alone, again, not counting any other cryptocurrencies, will add 2 degrees Celsius to global temperatures, killing a lot of people and creating tens or hundreds of millions of refugees. Back to you, Chauncey.
Okay, the Chinese rocket. This is all about space junk and debris. It's all about
that's right.
flotsam and jetsam at the core. Yeah, space law. I didn't know space law existed. Isn't that kind of part of the conversation we're having here, that we should have some sort of space law?
People are always arguing we should have more space law, but there is a space law. There are laws agreed upon. It's kind of like maritime law in how it works. It's not really. I'm not really sure what the ratification process is, but I understand that there's not a whole lot of disagreement among different countries about how space law works. Pretty much everyone agrees this is the space law, which is also just fun to say, space law.
Right.
But I think a lot of people are as we go more into space, it might be better to have more because right now there's stuff like no one can own any chunk of space. That's good when your technology is limited, but once we start colonizing Mars, how is that going to work?
How are we going to split that up, right?
Right, exactly. Once we can meaningfully go into space and start accessing these resources in a useful way, we'll need amendments to space law.
I maybe need to look into maritime law. Let's say, okay, so I'm sure murder is illegal in maritime law.
Yeah, you're not allowed to kill people, even on boats.
Okay, let's say I'm killing people. Let's say I kill people in the middle of the ocean. Who tries me? Is there maritime courts that are specifically like the World Maritime Court?
No, I don't think so. I think maritime law has provisions about, whose ship was it, then you go here, who died. See, maritime law is actually hugely complex, and I'm not a sea lawyer. So,
Carrie, your job here is to report on the news. Now, any question I have for you, you better have the answer in depth.
Oh, no.
So A Mexican and a Frenchman walk into a bar on a boat in the middle of the ocean.
Okay.
I don't know the punchline. Okay, no, they walk in and the Frenchman kills the Mexican.
Sure.
Is that, I wonder if that's, and I know you don't know the answer. I wonder if that's tried in courts in Mexico or courts in France.
See, I think it depends.
They have to get together, or if there's a third party, or
I think it probably depends either on whose waters they're in or on who owns the boat. My guess is whose waters they're in.
Well, I mean, maritime law, aren't there huge swaths of the world that are nobody's waters?
Yeah, I see what you mean. So I thought it had kind of been divvied up. I'm not really sure. All the pirates listening to this broadcast are just beating their heads because we don't know. But,
yeah, totally. They're just all, how can he not know that I'm the captain now?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Because those are the only pirates left. All right, moving on. Cryptocurrency. Bill Maher actually recently was going off about how cryptocurrency was affecting the environment because of all the doing the mining and stuff.
It's actually a huge deal.
Yeah. It's wild.
It wasn't a huge deal when it was first started, but the whole idea of cryptocurrency is that the more energy you use to to mine more Bitcoin or whatever, the more energy you need to use to mine the next Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So we've created this system that requires an exponential, potentially infinite amount of electricity,
right?
Just in order to keep
it burns real world value while creating nothing.
Exactly, and it's even worse because we're borrowing this value from like the future ability of humanity to not go extinct, but it's people are very bad at the borrowing from the future thing. That's the thing people
have
like
a good
to do.
Concept of this stuff on the whole, and I can't say that I blame them. My personal view of the world is that people make it confusing on purpose in order to shut people up. But a lot of people like electric cars. Oh, we need to get electric cars. It's like, where do you think that electricity is coming from? I mean, it's what we need to do is top down this sucker. It's like.
Right. I mean, ultimately, our power plants need to not be coal,
Right. I think that there's a big loss on the whole, and all of it is very confusing, and people are constantly trying to hide what it is. I'm surprised you didn't bring into the news, Bill Gates possibly being a bad guy.
The thing is, I don't care about him.
You don't care about him?
I don't care about Bill Gates. I don't care about the sordid lives of rich people. I don't know. I assume they're all James Bond villains until proven otherwise, which has never happened.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're a molester, they're not molesting other rich people.
I didn't actually even hear about that. What?
Oh, yeah, supposedly. Okay, it's all over the news. I knew he
got divorced, but...
Oh, it's all over the news this morning that he was... sort of a philanderer and like constantly coming on to chicks and friends with Epstein and a lot of shady potential coming out about him.
Yeah, I believe it. The QAnon people are going to go nuts, but I don't know. I think it's just a lesson on what happens when you have so much money that there is no possible accountability for you.
If the QAnon people, maybe the QAnon people are right.
I mean,
or maybe
I think the QAnon people are right that a lot of rich people commit crimes.
Or maybe even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. I think it doesn't take a whole lot of like insight to guess that the people who have unlimited resources and no accountability might occasionally commit horrifying crimes because they can.
Oh, totally. If I had that when I was younger, I would just be a terrible human being. I'm not saying I'd molest people. Don't get me wrong. I understand where this started, but
So I don't think
I definitely mine a lot of Bitcoin. I'm going back to Bitcoin. I'd mine a lot of
Bitcoin. Okay.
All right. Coming up next, Dark Side of Salem with Sam Baltrusis. This is an interesting one, cool one. Salem, not Oregon. Salem, Oregon, I'm sure is nice, but we're
also
talking
haunted
about
in its own way.
Right. We're talking about old school witches, not new ones. So come on back.
Indeed.